do you have rules or guidelines? Say, look, this is how we want to roll in this creative space. That what are they?
So a couple of ones. Number one is don't be a dick.
Yeah.
Number two is did you see rule one?
Yeah.
Number three is
that's very Fight Clubbish.
It is, yeah.
I love it.
You're listening to The Occupational Philosophers with Simon Banks and John Rice.
Hello and welcome to another episode of The Occupational Philosophers, a not-so-serious business podcast designed to spark curiosity, creativity, imagination, play, often with a little bit of philosophy thrown in. As ever, I am joined by my co-host, Simon Banks in Australia. Good morning, Simon. How are you and what's caught your curious eye this week?
Well, John, do you ever have one of those words where it's the constant one where you're not quite sure how to spell? Like you might have, it's gone with you your whole life. Do you have one of those words and you always muck it up?
What, sort of an I before E or an E before I?
Yeah, like maybe a particular word, yeah, and it might sort of stick around.
Yeah.
I'm pretty...
Like sieve.
Yeah, okay, yeah, fair enough, yeah. Point exactly. I'm pretty good with my spelling, but weather, which is W-H-E-T-H-E-R, or weather, W-E-T-H-E-R, I always muck up. So I checked it the other day, but you know, you get the AI preview at the top, and they're explaining this, and I also found out that a weather, W-E-T-H-E-R, is a male goat or sheep that has been castrated. So... First time in 50 years that I've been Googling that, and that's what I found out. Very lowbrow, but that was my curious eye.
So for all this time, people will be reading your emails going, why is he talking about a castrated goat?
Yeah. Exactly. So I don't know. That caught my...
What's he on about? He's obsessed.
It's lowbrow. But that's my tone.
All right, I'm going to go highbrow or slightly highbrow.
Look at you.
I was very fortunate last month to get to Athens. I went to Athens for a long weekend and I managed to walk in the footsteps of all those great Greek heavyweight philosophers. So I was there walking in the footsteps of Socrates, Aristotle and Plato. And as you might imagine, I was very excited by that. And I went to the Stoa of Agora, where they replicated the original Stoa, which is just like a covered building with colonnade of pillars going down it. You can imagine walking long, sort of half a mile amongst this sort of colonnade of pillars. What I realised, though, is that a stoa was actually at the back of, alongside the colonnades, was loads of shops. So basically, where they had this and where they used to walk along the Stoics and ask questions and have deep philosophical thoughts was a shopping centre, really. So a bit like Westfield. So imagine me and you went down to Westfield and started going, hello there, what's justice? What is courage? And they'll say, bugger off, I'm trying to buy some shoes, you weirdo.
Eat my kebab.
Just go away, leave me alone, or I'll call security. So there you go. Socrates and Plato were just basically hanging out in the shopping centre together. Or not together, obviously they were separated by maybe 50-odd years or so. But you get the idea.
Well, maybe
so there you go down to Westfield and convert people.
In their youth, they were hanging out the front of the 7-Eleven. Same sort of thing. Like, hey.
Exactly.
Let's get a Slurpee.
Socrates with a Slurpee. There we go. Could have that on a T-shirt, couldn't you?
Right. Another hashtag for us, John. Another hashtag. Yeah.
So, we've got a guest episode, Simon. Who is the curious cat we have this week?
Well, John, our guest this week, someone we've been trying to get on the show for a long, long time, spent 20 years behind the camera building a thriving portrait and wedding studio in Sydney and then repeating the same thing in New York City. Now, in New York, he photographs awesome actors, dancers, models and performers out amongst the streets. Also has a studio in East Williamsburg and Soho in New York as well. And his photography is all about creating authentic, impactful images. This is what I like, that help performers stand out and make sure they enjoy the process, not dread it. So I'm going to talk a little bit more about this now. He's also pivoted into cinematography over in NYC, trained at Main Media Workshops, joined the local 600 camera union, and worked in camera crew on TV shows and films throughout New York City and upstate. Now he's also spent a bunch of time on the other side of the camera as well, and he's pulling a face. So maybe I've got some of these things wrong, but you can
It's
correct.
fun to be talked about before you're introduced.
Okay, now wait, we've got some more. Now, like many of us in the entertainment, let's say creative industry where you need to be outside, the pandemic happened. Also, a bunch of strikes over in the States. So that forced our guests to ask, what's next? Now, the answer was leadership and coaching for photographers who are tired of toxic spaces and ego-driven attitudes. So he has launched the Humble Togs Club, an online community where photographers can hang out, learn, grow, and support each other in a safe, no-jerk zone. That sounds like Nirvana, doesn't it, really? Online. So, or in summary, it's a nicer and cooler place to be online. So, with that, please welcome our guest, Kurt Sneddon. Woo!
Thank you
Welcome.
for that lovely introduction there. Simon, it's nice that we have worked in that space together, and I did your headshots many years ago now. How long? You still look the same, I must say. So how long ago was that?
First one was 10 years ago, and the second round was maybe 5 years ago.
Right,
But I'm not sure if you remember, I had something gone wrong with my lip. My top lip looked like it had been punched or something.
Did we get it retouched for you?
Yeah, you got it retouched, and you go, "Don't worry about it, we'll fix it." But I could see in my eyes when I look at the pictures, I'm not 100% there.
It's funny. I mean, speaking about curious things, people that there's a lot to be said for what's going on behind the eyes, and it's with actors' headshots, with photos I do of people. I can work as hard as I can, but if I can't get someone to feel relaxed, to forget that worry behind the eyes, it does come across, and I can't explain it. AI can't spot it. It's one of those things that's just there, and it's almost, certainly for you, like you said, it's something that if you feel it, then it might only be real for you, but it's still there.
Yeah, no, it's a good point. I always look at it and I think, all right. So I'm in the running to get some new ones. Now, speaking,
I know a guy you should.
Yeah, you should get in contact with. Now, speaking of curiosity, what's caught your curious eye this week?
I was gonna mention a shout out to a musician that I've kind of found recently, and you might laugh at me, especially John here in the UK. This musician called Ray, R-A-Y-E.
Yeah,
R-A-Y-E. Yeah,
yeah. She's got this one song, and it's called "Where's My Husband." So it's this bit of thing.
Love it.
Yeah, it's a great song. I was like, that's a really catchy song. But then I did a bit of a deep dive. I was here retouching late and looking through some music to go through, and I put on her album just to see what else she's got, and it freaking blew my mind away. I was like, it was such a really original way to record an album. There's some poetry in there. There's a few beautiful moments I'm almost in tears about. It was just a little revelation I had this week of albums and that old school thing of putting on a CD and actually listening to a full album in its entirety the way it's meant to be played. It really took me back to that place, and I really enjoyed that.
Good recommendation. I'm going to go straight to Spotify after this.
Check it out.
Now, this is what's key, and there's like that ability to, like when you think an artist curates an album, songs are in an order for a reason, but I guess I'm like a lot of people. Now you've got your playlists of your maybe top 20, 50 songs for a moment, so you don't listen to that cadence. Yeah. So I think it's a really nice thing what you've done, and I'm going to write that down. I'm going to do exactly that same thing tomorrow. So thank you.
She does this beautiful thing at the end of the album that I don't want to spoil for you, but it just floored me. When you listen, you'll understand. Amazing.
All right. We'll look forward to it.
Suitably enigmatic there. Yes, we will have to play that straight after.
I reckon, John, let's go straight to dinner party, yeah?
Yeah. We're always curious when we meet someone at a dinner party. Kurt, we try to avoid those obvious questions like, what do you do for a living? Although we probably will ask that one.
You. I do too many things.
However, we thought we'd mix it up a bit. And so first question, we just sat down. What's giving you joy at the moment?
Look, I mean, it's a pretty obvious one, but my daughter, I come from a foster parenting background, so I've had the nice line, if I do meet someone at a dinner party and they say, do you have kids? I like to start off by saying, well, I've had 6, but I've only got 1 now, and just see what happens in their eyes.
That would have someone move seat, wouldn't it?
Right. But to be honest, to be fair, I haven't actually ever said that, to someone in that way, but I've always wanted to. No, I've had 6 foster kids, and we adopted the 6th that came into our care, and she's my daughter now. But the journey of foster care, that I actually did make a podcast about foster parenting. That's the one I have, and we only did 1 season of it, and it's out there for anyone that's interested in foster care to go have a listen to. It's called Conversations About Foster Care. But we went through that whole process, and then had kids that became part of our insides, and then we had to kind of say goodbye to them at various points. And then my daughter now has some trauma that she is dealing with, and just they call it the primal wound of having to be torn away from your birth parent. She has a story where we just don't have any information about that person, so she has to grow up in this space where she literally just doesn't know, and we can't tell her any answer as to where that person is or what they're up to. So that's the main thing. And what brings me joy this week is that you just see little glimpses of her finding me as a dad. She's a very mum-focused daughter. She's 8 years old now. She came into our family when she was 4, and she's 8 years old now. So she's almost just crossing that point where she's been with us for more years than she hasn't, if that makes sense. Mm-hmm. But yeah, she's very much a mummy's girl and is very much attached to mum. But I get very rare, she's 8 years old, and like I get very rare moments of affection, if any, and most of the time it's the opposite of affection, hits, punches, playful, but still like, go away, Papa, you don't, blah, blah, blah. So little moments of that have bring me joy this week, and bit of a cliche one, but definitely the things that bring me joy this week.
Kicked off well. I'm enjoying the dinner party. Now, what are you curious about right now, or what big question are you wrestling with?
So I have been the last week really, really getting into the space of AI. Again, if you ask me what I do for a job, I couldn't tell you. This week, I've been deep diving into AI and creating actual videos. As you mentioned, I work in cinema in TV shows in New York City, and was in TV crews. I was at the bottom rung of a TV crew, but loved that job and wanted to work more in film. And then unfortunately we had the writer's strike, and basically everything has come back now, but not nearly as much as it used to. We used to have about 42, 45 TV shows being filmed in New York City at any one time. There's like maybe 7 or 8 now. So the entire industry has kind of imploded on itself. I think they made a lot of content during COVID, and we're all so busy. And then nowadays there's just not enough work there. And partly due to AI and some other things that are out there in the world and stuff. So I really wanted to get in there and figure out what I could do with those tools. I don't really have any. Well, to be fair, I already use AI in my photography, mainly for things like backgrounds or, in someone's actor's headshot. If someone walked across the street, in the olden days, I would have literally manually painted that person out or done things in Photoshop to manually paint them out. These days, you can just circle it and type in, remove this person. And that's the AI that exists in photography these days. And that's becoming very, very useful and very, just very, very useful. So I also wanted to dive into what the film or the motion style of AI can do. And it's very, very impressive. I dubbed in there for a client. I have clients that I do work for website building and running ads and things like that as well online. So I was trying to make a cinematic, little 1-minute piece of video that would appear actually real and not look fake. And that was my challenge. So I got in there and I made something that I've shown all my friends, and they've all been pretty blown away by it. The ability for, if you do things in the right way and use the tools in the right way, you can create very, very real looking cinema style bits of film that are quite amazing.
Does it ever feel a slight dichotomy for yourself or someone like you, Kurt, in the industry, as it were, the advances of AI to the desire to protect the creative professionals within the industry?
100%.
If that makes sense.
100%. I think
it's a weird one, isn't it?
It is. I have always been really into technology and cool stuff, things like that. Having said that, I also am not really a gear head. Like I talk in my photography group about how I'm not really obsessed with the gear. I'm more obsessed with what we can do with the gear. So when there's a technology out there, I definitely want to figure it out and understand it. I think I'm fairly lucky in the sense that I happen to be in a genre of photography that is capturing moments for people about themselves. So like, weddings, family shoots, portraits, actors' headshots, all of those things, that will never be covered by AI, because why would it? People want to kind of capture their authentic selves. I think the industry of modeling has about a year left. I was just creating things in I can create a perfume ad that would be made by $200,000 in a cinema team at my desk now. Because all of that stuff is pretty kind of artistic, and it's like blowing curtains and whatever. But I can make a shot of a person that's completely made up, that has shine on a face and little dimples and all the little technical things our faces have, and it looks so realistic. And the thing is, I think with anything, is that if someone that doesn't know anything about filmmaking goes to AI and says, make me a film, it's going to look like absolute crap, right? I took so long this week to really, really dial in all these different tools and use all the knowledge I have about filmmaking. I was using DaVinci to cut things together. I was using ChatGPT to give me the prompts for Nano Banana, for the other tools that, Kling is the video tool. So I started by creating the characters as images. And I made a mom and a dad, a younger daughter, an older daughter, and a brother, a grandma, and a granddad. And I made all those characters first. And then I went to the video one and said, here are the characters. Do this particular thing in this particular shot and make me a shot of just that thing. And then it would do something and I'm like, oh, crap, I've got to make the grandma come from the left side of the chair. So you type it in again. And all of this stuff, it took a lot of work. But if you do all that and you have the talent and the understanding to do all that, and coming back to your question, I don't think it's something to be scared of. I think it's something that people who know what they're doing could use it as a tool to make really, really cool stuff. And I think there'll always be a place for authenticity and real actors and real people. I think the world of modeling, unfortunately, there's just not a real need often, because most of that is kind of plastic and a bit over the top anyway. I mean, runway modeling, great. That may still be a thing, but I'm talking about like models that get hired for TV commercials and stuff like that. Yeah, I think they've got about a year left.
That's disappointing, because I always want to be in a beer commercial. That's been one of my aims. And I've done
a couple of beer commercials.
Yeah, I know. I've got about a year left. I just want to crack a beer in a pub and go, yeah, that's it. Or something. I don't know, something. I think if I could do that, I'd be happy.
I think when emotion, like the beer ads, and certainly in Australia, there's a great culture for commercials. And I was in a lot of TV commercials here in Australia as an actor. And then when I went to America, I got an agent over there, I went to a few auditions, and I just couldn't book anything, maybe because of the competition, but just my whole shtick was being a kind of gangly Australian dorky guy. So in America, I'd go to an audition and the script would be something like, chicken wings for $5.99? Whoa! I'm like, what the hell can I do with that? Whereas in Australia, we had so much funny beer ads and all these other things that I could just walk in, and honestly, I would book them because I would just be very good at being awkward and gangly and whatever else.
Busty Munro, the interpretive dancer. Yeah.
Right.
That was you, wasn't it? Yeah.
Sure. Yeah.
I've seen some of your good work. Now, look, we're gonna jump out of the dinner party questions, but keep it in the dinner party. You spend a lot of time on the other side of the camera, like a heap of time in ads and all sorts of things. How has that influenced your photography? Because a big part of you is you're making people feel at ease, but you also understand, I guess, that empathy, both sides of the lens. How's that impacted the work that you do?
I think it's funny that, my journey, I started as an actor in my early 20s. And was an actor. And then I actually picked up a camera while I was out on tour on a musical around Australia. So we were touring around the country and I didn't have much else to do in my early 20s. And I picked up my brother's film camera back then and was going to photograph pelicans at the beach or whatever else I can do. And then, years passed and then I finished that musical. And then I was like, well, I'm going to keep working on this photography stuff. And then and then a bunch of my actor friends were saying, oh, can you do an actor's headshot for me? And I kind of was like, okay, well, let's figure that out. And did some things well. But I guess because, back to your question, because I just talk the language, I know what actors need, it was pretty simple for me to just figure out, how to do that and how to connect with actors and what we need. I also, at the time, that was early 2000s, and at that time, I remember before I knew anything about cameras, going to get my headshots done at Patrick Jones, I think his name was, Patrick guy in Sydney, and I paid $500 at the time, back in '98 or something, to go and get 2 actors' headshots, and they were black and white shots. They were film, and it was just at the shoot. I remember it was just like me moving my head around, a few different ways, and that was it. One roll of film, and that was it. And then when I started taking photos for actors' headshots a couple of years later, I was kind of like, why wouldn't I shoot them outdoors and in color? And so I did. And at the time, I was kind of like, I think one of the first. There was probably other people, but starting to shoot in color then pushed, I think, that whole industry to be like, oh yeah, why do we shoot in black and white? There's color film and whatever. I guess because color is technically and traditionally more expensive to print. So black and white is cheaper to print if you're handing out headshots all the time. But everything's online anyway those days. And then shooting in color, I think, was really great. And then I would go and shoot in cool locations. So in the street, like in the middle of the street, with the wall, the background, and more, maybe call it cinematic if you want to, but just real locations that weren't a plain studio wall background. And, I do some of those as well. And then Facebook at the same time was coming up too. So Facebook was becoming a thing, and I put the photos up on Facebook and was friends with all the people that I was photographing and then tagged them on their photo. And that, over a couple of years, really, really built the business for me, because everyone was looking around going, who's this Kurt guy that's shooting all the actors, certainly in Sydney? And yeah, it was a really great way to build the business at the start.
And then obviously you did my shots and things really
and then
took
just
off.
Boom.
So yeah,
I didn't even need to try after that.
Exciting times.
What do you mean? They went, if you can make him look good,
get rid of that lump on his lip. You can
get him in.
Can work
get him
with
in.
the elephant
Get him
man.
to shoot the whole team. So building on this and coming to the process, then. So you've gone outside, and we were intrigued as we were thinking about sort of questions coming into today's show. That is a lovely blend of curiosity coming to life. You've got to be able to see very deeply into the environment you're working in. It could be the sort of the shaft of light down a little alleyway that's off to the left or something like that. And I did see some clips that you put together, and it was fascinating. You say, look, where's the light coming from?
Yeah.
Oh, look, if you look here, it's coming round here, around this corner, coming into this place here. Yeah. So there's deep curiosity to be able to see things quite clearly.
Yeah.
And notice things maybe that others don't.
Yeah.
And then to then go, okay, and then how do I come into this then creatively to create the shot that I think is going to work here? Just can you, that art of seeing, as it were, can you talk to that for a minute?
I think it's really great to talk about that. And I think it's also really great, and this is with the club now that I'm trying to build, is telling people that it's not black magic, that's this kind of big gate-kept secret about seeing light. I think when I was learning too, you kind of think about light, and you're like, what is it or whatever, but it's not that complicated. It's not rocket science. But when you understand a little bit about light and you start like watching movies and thinking about, well, how would have that been lit? You can see that the light's coming from one side. I mean, if you look at my face now, I've got like this color here that's coming from over there, and a red color from over here, and a clean color that's coming from this way. So if you understand some of that stuff, you can then craft it. And then, funnily enough, the outdoor stuff, and I try to talk about this in the videos you were talking about, is just the same. And people don't really get that until you understand or think about lighting in general. Outside in the natural environments, light is bouncing around in directions all over the place, all the time. And being able to know and just look around and going, I'm standing here and I'm looking across the street and there's a lady over there and she is being lit from that direction, and knowing where that light's coming from, and then looking around and going, oh yeah, it's bouncing off that building up there and whatever. So being able to be curious, look around, and I can teach anyone in about probably 10 minutes how to do that. It's not, like I said, rocket science, but it does open your brain if you are someone that likes thinking about different things that you've maybe never thought of before. I'm sure a lot of people don't think about lighting at all, but it's certainly, as a photographer, I think have to get into. And as you start to, there's kind of a turning point when you're taking photos and you're capturing what's there. And then at some point in your career, you kind of start to realize, well, hold on, if I turn this way, then I'm crafting the light that's in front of me and using it on purpose, as opposed to just taking what's there and trying to deal with what's there.
Just a little note there, Kurt. I wouldn't say that you could teach people in 10 minutes. I'd say you need to set up an online program that takes about 6 months, I would say.
Join my webinar. Yeah.
It's got to be a 7-step process somewhere in this, isn't there, Kurt?
Yeah,
Surely.
well, I mean, I'm learning a lot. I'm learning a lot about that, and I'm trying at the moment. Again, with all of these things that I'm doing, I'm trying at the moment to figure out, what is my online products? What are they going to be? And I've got a million ideas right now, but sitting down and figuring out how to do it, how to launch it, how to do it, whilst also having my 8-year-old and just trying to make money as well. It's all a big juggle.
Now, building on your love of shooting outdoors, you've moved from Sydney and I think some time in Newcastle as well, over to New York. And New York is like a visual feast for the eyes. And one of our previous guests recently said they get their inspiration when they're in cities because there's so much coming at you. Like one of our previous guests was an artist. And what did you notice maybe when you moved from Sydney to New York, just around how you might, was there more material? Did you approach it in a different way? Or was it just like there was a buffet every time you turn a corner?
Yeah, I mean, it is a buffet, and it's great. We say everything is wider on the gamut on everything in New York City. We own our apartment in New York City, and that was a lot cheaper than anything we could buy in Australia. There's all these bigger, wider gamuts. So the food is wider, everything. The streets are narrower.
Okay.
So when talking about that light thing, the light itself gets funneled down all the streets. So if you're a photographer, you can get really horizontal direction lighting all the way down Manhattan by going up a street or an avenue. Well, the avenues are up and down, so they're a bit more bright and open. But the streets, you can get some nice shade and use that part of the buildings that are all very high to create horizontal light. So that's very cool. And yeah, there's just so much stuff that you can just go and enjoy and fun. New York is great. It is. The last few years have been tough for us personally, financially, because of all these changes in our careers. So, we'll say New York is great, but it's a city you've got to have money in. I mean, Sydney's the same. You've got to have money, and when you don't have money and you're kind of trying to make ends meet, it can suck because you're like, well, what are we doing here in this fancy city when we can't go out and enjoy a dinner or whatever? But it's certainly a wonderful place to be. But yeah, we're home here a little bit for the while. And then we became citizens just recently. We've been there 10 years now. So we became citizens so we could leave.
Okay, yeah.
And now we can come and go as we please a bit more comfortably.
And do you still find it new? You've come to that city and at first it's all very alien. And so your curiosity and what you notice is on hyperdrive.
Yeah.
Does that sort of diminish over time, or do you still find it still very stimulating?
It's still very stimulating. There's always something to do, and love the city and love the culture. There's a couple of jokes about that. People say you're not a New Yorker until you understand why not to get on an empty subway carriage. So when the new New Yorkers get there and you're fighting for a spot on the train and you get to a carriage and you can see there's no one in there, and then the new New Yorkers we'll go in that carriage, and all the old New Yorkers stand back and go, yeah, there's a homeless person in there or some other smell.
Yeah.
That means it's not a place to go. But they say you become a real New Yorker when or after you see someone defecate in front of you in the subway system. So that's a good one. I've ticked that box.
I thought you were going to say something like slam the hood of a yellow taxi and say, I walk in here, or something like that.
No, just taking a dump on the train. Yeah.
Just taking a jump on the train.
That's New York.
Yeah.
That's living.
But no, it is always something new. And like I said, when you can enjoy it and can get out there and see theatre, see shows, that was certainly a big thing for us. We love theatre and shows. So being able to, we've been to some crazy little random shows where Sarah Bareilles will do a night of like talking, and she'll just have like friends come on to read some poetry or whatever, and it'll be like, Mayor Hawke and, that guy from, I forget the actor's name, but he plays the lead in the show my dad loves, which, these aren't clues that are helping you.
I was going to say.
Keep going. The autistic.
How many
autistic
syllables?
Guy,
3 syllables.
He's the autistic guy on the TV show with his friends.
Big Bang Theory? No?
Yes, Big Bang Theory.
There
yes.
you go.
The lead in that.
Okay.
The actor in that.
Look at that. Pull that one out.
Yeah.
will rock up. And yeah, just really crazy nights like that. You'll walk past pretty major celebrities in Midtown and, hey, Yeah.
I do want to ask about the headshots again before we
Yeah.
sort of talk to some other topics. But obviously it's about those actors, performers bringing out the best version of themselves. I think you said something earlier about getting behind the eyes, weren't you? Or something. You're trying to sort of connect with them. What was that piece there about? Trying to see and connect with the individual.
There's lots of different types of photographers and different types of actors. Photographers will talk about this in a different way. I'm very, very low fuss, put it that way.
Yeah.
So some photographers will get there and talk about, I want you to be thinking about a certain moment or your mum or something particular. I don't do any of that, but it's my job to trick the person in front of the camera out of feeling tense, stressed, concerned, thinking all the things that are behind their eyes, and just relax. So I do that by, when people shoot with me, it hopefully feels just really relaxed. But a lot of the time, I'm doing very specific things to trick them into relaxing, if that makes sense. Most people wouldn't notice I do it, but tricking people into, by simply giving them directions, lean this way, lean that way, move your head this way. Like if they're thinking about something that's my direction, they're not thinking about worrying about themselves. Just even that simple thing.
Is it ever the case where there's nothing behind the eyes? The lights are on.
I mean, sometimes that's the thing. So sometimes it can be perceived, and I can generally see that if I'm looking at someone and they're, sometimes it's usually actually stariness. If people have like quite wide eyes, I have to direct them to do various things with their eyebrows, with the edges of their eyes. Some people are really good at giving a little bit of squinty eyes. And certainly for actors, that little bit of squint here, I'm very good at it because I can control my face very well. But you'd be surprised, some people can't do it at all. I'll say to someone, give me a little bit of squinty eyes, and they do this with their eyebrows, or they haven't actually done that before. So again, tricking people into relaxing if they can't do something, because I don't want them to start getting worried that they can't do a thing. But it's my job to give them direction to maybe get their body to do certain things I need it to do so that they will appear on camera relaxed.
Yeah.
I like this. I was sort of imagining it might be something saying, I see you. I see you. I go inside and I feel your soul. You just relax. Like, how simple. Relax, enjoy yourself. Like, that's it. I love it. Yeah.
Yeah, totally.
Now, I always, like we've spoken about before, like, and studied photography myself for a year in university doing, art and design. So I always say to people, what I said to you, like, really it's about being good at seeing stuff, okay? Let's take the people out of it. But I always think, some people walk past the brick wall and ignore it. Other people see that weed on the ground against the brick wall and go, okay, something curious there that's caught my eye. Regular person out and about, how do we practice the art of seeing a little bit more so we can notice, let's say, to some of the cool stuff that's going on around us?
I mean, I think the obvious thing there is just to get out of your vision where you are. So a lot of people, we all have our heights that we are in the world. I'm a tall guy. I'm a 6'6" guy, so I have a higher vision mostly than other people. I'm looking down at most people, whatever. If you want to see stuff, get in different levels. Just get out of that zone of the place you lie down on the ground, see how it looks like. That kind of thing is, I think, where you find other ways of looking at things, by kneeling down, going, what if you're a photographer too, like, what would this scene be like if I was here? Do I have to take it from my height because that's where I'm always looking at it from? Go and figure out, well, what if I lie on the ground, or what if I go higher or a different angle than I usually see, because most of us are just used to that particular vision of the world. I would say start there.
Yeah.
All right. I like it. Just change your angle. Yeah.
Bit of perspective, yeah.
Okay.
I think one of the things I often do, Kurt, I don't know if this is another way into that kind of practice, is I'm always in cities looking up. I always try to look up and look at the architecture.
Oh,
It's
yeah.
way, way, way up, rather than, as you
totally.
say, that walking along at street level, you tend to focus on what you see at street level. And, I was always trying to look up and then suddenly see
Yeah,
if you're in
100%.
London. But it's that idea as well, isn't it?
Yeah, totally. There's a photo I took that my friend loves, and I got it printed up for, I think, my 30th birthday. I did like an exhibition. I've never really done an exhibition of my photography work, but for my 30th birthday, I think it was, I decided to put up some photos and have a party and do a bit of an exhibition. And one of the photos I put up was a photo I took in New York before I lived there. And it was exactly that. It was me, couldn't even tell you what street I was on, but looking directly up and almost backwards, looking up a building. And there was mist and fog up there. So it was like the building was going into clouds, essentially. And I took that photo in that angle. My friend has it, I think, still on his wall.
Well, as my auntie said to me, she always says, look up and make sure your chins go away. And same thing she said to me. She goes, and I want to tell you, Simon, brown fat looks better than white fat. So always have a tan. So stay tanned and look up. So yeah, that stuck with me 30 years later.
So, Kurt, one of the other things that you have a passion for and starting to get some momentum around is this Humble Togs Club, which is this lovely online community. I think Simon mentioned it in the introduction at the beginning. And it's all about where photographers can come together and support each other, provide an ego-free environment that they feel connected to each other. I can see behind you, you've got the Humble Togs Club logo with a lovely tagline that says, for photographers who aren't dicks.
Yeah.
And I think that's a good enough introduction to say, over to you to tell us more about that.
Yeah, I was on social media and figuring out how to go live and what the idea of going live was all about. And I would just, when I first started photography and I had to like learn how to do retouching, I remember going up to a guy in Darlinghurst that I've met or somewhere, and I would ask him and say, can I just come and watch you work just to see what retouching is all about? Because how else are you going to learn? This is probably before YouTube and stuff. So I used to go and watch him just to learn from him, to watch him work. And so I started doing these lives where I had my camera pointing at my screen and I was just doing my work and seeing who's swiped by.
Uh-huh.
And I was kind of considering, I kind of want to think about, well, can I start a group for mentoring and photography and all that? So I was just doing it. And this one girl, Caitlin, came in and she kept coming back every time I was going live. And I was talking to her about the idea. And one thing that came up talking to her about if we were going to, if I was going to create a group for photographers, she said, well, the worst thing about photography groups generally is that it's really hard to feel safe because a lot of the time you put up photos, a lot of this happens on social media out in the open, on YouTube, on Instagram and other places. People put up a photo and say, oh, what do you guys think? And people rip shreds out of them. And you click some of these people's profiles and they're not even good photographers. I'm like, who are you people that are just ripping shreds? They're just the bullies of the internet. So I tested this for a bit and I made some videos to say, if I was going to create a club for photographers who aren't dicks to each other, who would be in?
Who's in?
And some of them went like got a lot of views and stuff. And I was like, okay, this might be a thing. So yeah, we started the group and then a lot of people have come in and yeah, the people that are in there are definitely like, this is so nice to be in a space where we can put up photos. And honestly, some of them are like, I still feel scared to do it. There's that much trauma in whatever that I still feel scared. I know this place is a safe space. But when they put up photos in there, I go on and I make a video. So one of the things, the reason that doesn't work is that people put up photos expecting someone to give them an answer or a critique without knowing a thing about them or what their intention was or anything like that. So that's the first thing I say to people is like, I'm not going to give you advice just because it's my opinion, because you might be like, I took that photo from a weird angle and I like it dark. And so by putting up that photo, a lot of people will be like, oh, it's too dark. But I'm like, well, no, it might. What is your intention? Here's some things I can see about the image. Did you mean to do this? Did you mean to do that? The light's coming from over here. Did you know that? Those kind of things, I think, help people learn instead of just going, this is my opinion without any prior knowledge.
Do you have rules or guidelines? Say, look, this is how we want to roll in this creative space that
Yep.
What are they?
So a couple of ones. Number one is don't be a dick.
Yeah.
Number two is did you see rule one?
Yeah.
Number three is number three is there's
that's very Fight Clubbish.
It is, yeah.
I love it.
Number three is like there's two spaces to leave photos or to post photos in the club. One of them is called photo celebration. And if you put up a photo under photo celebration, it's kind of like a flag to everyone to say, I don't want feedback on this. I'm just here to celebrate it. And that's a really safe thing because a lot of the time people even put up photos, even if they say, I don't want criticism, dicks on the internet will just give their opinion anyway. So
Yeah.
having a space where people can put up a photo and feel like, hey, I'm really proud of this. You know, it might not be technically good. I'm just a beginner, but I'm proud of it. And here it is. And everyone jumps on there and knows to celebrate it and not to give any feedback at all, me included. One of my members pulled me up once because I tried to give a bit of feedback out of habit on someone that had a photo celebration. And she was like, no, you can't, Kurt. That's the rules. I was like, yes, true. But then if people put up a photo under photo feedback, that is essentially asking everyone for feedback on it. And I'll go on there and make a video of talking about the photo and giving them some ideas. And again, it's ideas based. I'll give people ideas. Did you think about this? Did you think about that? As opposed to that's wrong or whatever. And everyone's, I think, really receptive to that and really happy that that's helpful. Yeah, it's going great so far. So now I've got to figure out, how to grow that in the online space, how to build out these products and online things that I can teach and learn from, again, whilst I'm juggling parenthood and actually doing photography shoots and all the other things that I'm doing as well. So it's always a juggle. But I think the funny thing is that even the modules, I've built out a module for how to take flash photography. A lot of people, when they start with cameras, they really don't understand flash. So that was the first thing. And I asked the group, the community that I had at this time, when I had 30 people at the start, and I said, what does everyone want to learn first? And everyone was like, flash photography. So I went and created a module of all these lessons about what flash photography is all about. And funnily enough, I don't think many people actually do the lessons. People really just come together for the community aspect of it. And I think if you asked most of them, they'd be like, oh yeah, it's the community vibe. There's other competitions and things we run in there as well that just make it fun. And it really is a place, I think, where building that community focus first is something that has its value within it without me trying to do much else.
I mean, there's a huge amount in this, Kurt. It's really interesting because, of course, that's what we'd often talk to in the realms of being creative, whatever. It's the fact that you need that safe space to play, to experiment in the first place. And then the other thing is people then within that space being curious rather than judgmental is quite key to it, isn't it? You've got to have that, as you say, the guidelines or whatever. But that's really interesting that could apply itself in so many different environments, i.e. could apply itself within a work environment, in organizations or actors as well. Yeah.
It makes you think of actors because actors inherently are players. We play. That's where the word play comes from. So to get in a room and to be able to not putting anyone down or anything like that and just play and the yes and theory of improvisation of like, yes and I'll take your idea and let's run with it, let's do this, all wraps itself up in that as well. And I talk a little bit about failure as well. I think one of my core messages that I'm trying to get out there to the world is this idea that we have all been taught that failure is this bad thing. And we all talk about, oh, I failed at that and that's a bad thing. I cannot shout this higher, louder, bigger than I can. Failure is not only not a bad thing, it's the necessary element to creating or learning a thing. So for all the members that are in there in the club and other people I talk to, I try to say, why are you scared of putting up a photo? Oh, because I don't want to fail. I don't want to come across an idiot. I'm like, right, but you are failing and you are failing every day. That is how you learn this thing. I fail every day. I've been doing this 20 years. I'm failing every day. And I am figuring out this AI stuff. You couldn't tell you how many times I failed my way forward to figure that stuff out. But failure itself is not only not a bad thing, it's the necessary element you need to do every day to learn a thing. The better you can wrap your head around that and learn it, I feel like the more you can not be scared of it because you expect it. You're like, okay, what am I going to fail at today? Let's go and fail a bunch of stuff and see what happens.
Yeah. I mean, I'm doing very well and my kids keep telling me how much I'm failing.
Yeah.
So I must be.
I think them calling you a dead shit isn't actually failure, but I think that's another.
I'm going to be a super parent by the end of all of this. Kurt, we'd like now to have a little thought experiment with you, or have you play with a little thought experiment, which, as you know, very much was the way that philosophers of prior years and still to this day play with really complex ideas and concepts. But that's not what we do here. This is more sort of, I don't know, game show, really. So what we've got...
Same thing, the same intent.
You know, we give it a sense of weight. Look, so we like your efforts around the Humble Tog Club to create this kinder community for photographers. And what we've done is, in advance of the show, myself and Simon have set up similar communities for other professions all across the globe to ensure that hardworking, decent folk don't have to put up with jerks in their own industry sector. Now, we're going to share these with you now. And basically, we just like for you to tell us which profession you think this is served by this particular community. So I'm just going to kick things off. We'll give you the taglines. You've got to guess the industry or profession, okay? So the first one is bricks, not dicks. So which profession do you think that might be?
Masonry?
Yeah, I'll take that, Simon, wouldn't you? I was going to say,
We'll take masonry.
Yeah, I think it's bricklayers or other construction professionals. Very good. Very good start. Very strong.
Okay, well done.
Yeah.
Next one is slogans without bogans.
Copywriters, ad creative teams.
Yeah, absolutely, and we also put politicians in there.
Oh,
as
politicians!
Well. So,
politicians don't write the slogans. It's a whole team of people behind them. The copywriters that write the copywriting for the politicians.
Okay, doing very well. I see we've hit a rich vein of thinking here. John,
okay, yeah. So next one we've set up is flossers against tossers.
Flossers against tossers. I mean, philosophers? Is that
that could have been.
One?
We're thinking more floss.
Oh, flossers against tossers.
Against tossers. Rather, that's not.
Dentist.
I'm not drunk. I'm not trying to say philosophers really badly. Flossers.
It's my sound. No. So dentist. So is that dentist?
It's a dental industry. Yes, we've set up a group for dental hygienists. Okay, next one. No schmucks, just trucks.
Truck drivers?
Yeah.
We'll take that. We had long distance lorry drivers, but we'll take that. We'll take that.
Those are the guys in my brain, yep.
Yeah, John.
Next one's, this is my favourite one that I've set up, is souls, not arseholes. And that's souls, S-O-L-E-S. So that's souls,
oh, good.
not arseholes.
Is there any video component to this podcast?
No.
For the people at home, I'm holding up my foot to the camera because there's a big hole in my sole of my Blundstone boots, as I've had for probably more than 10 years, and I need to buy a new pair. But the humble cobbler you're talking about there.
Cobbler, very, very good. I like the way you're getting the exact professional term for these individuals. That's very impressive.
Good.
Funnily enough, last night at dinner, we were talking about my holy soul, and someone said cobbler. I think my wife said cobbler, and my friend said, cobbler? Who's ever called it a cobbler in Australia? It's like the shoe repair guy. Cobbler's a very British term. I was
like ye oldie well cobbler. Yes.
What's a better word, cobbler or shoe repair man?
John, I'm going to go number 6, and I think you do the last one. Mm-hmm. Okay. Chimps, not chumps.
Chimps. Zookeepers?
Chimps, not chumps. Yeah, type of zookeeper.
Yeah.
Chimps, not chumps.
Type of zookeeper.
Well,
the monkey wrangler.
we'll take monkey wrangler, but someone who would also know a cobbler might also say primatologist.
Okay, that's a bit above my league there. I tap out at British slang over actual scientific names.
I like the John's made these up with the British mindset. We've got the monkey wrangler. Everyone knows what it means.
I just imagine someone shouting out, "Get the monkey wrangler." Kevin the Silverback's gone crazy again.
chimp down, get the monkey wrangler.
We need the
And
dart
John, you've
gun.
got one last community. Yeah.
We got putts without putts.
Butts without putts, is it?
Putts, Putts, putts without putts,
Without putts.
Putz.
P-U-T-Z.
Yeah.
Putts without putts. That's like mince without mince, meaning mince meat without mince.
Yeah, we're playing with words here. We're playing with words. Yeah.
Is it the golf? Is it the pro shop at the golf pro shop?
It's our golf
Golf
caddy
shop?
community we've
Oh, the
set up.
caddy community,
Exactly.
all right,
so.
even better.
That's like a full house. That's quite impressive.
Full house, yeah.
Full house and points.
You beat Boris Johnson, Emmanuel Macron, and
Michelle Obama.
Michelle Obama, who is our
gosh.
standout. But well done. Now, John, there was one last one there, but what was that one about?
Oh, that's a community for bankers, but I'd better not read that one out.
So, right, now.
And so ends our thought experiment.
Time for a rapid fire round just to literally wrap us up. We are building the Occupational Philosophers Manifesto. What one thing of all your learning should we add in a short phrase?
To the people that are listening, is that what it is?
To the people that are listening, but what if one bit of sage advice should we add to our manifesto from you?
I think the best piece of advice I can tell anyone in the professional space is what I said before, that failure is not only not a bad thing, it is the necessary element you need to achieve to become good at something.
That's great. Great. What books or films do you think we should be reading or watching right now? Anything catching your eye?
Look, I do enjoy a nice holiday read, but I probably have read Lord of the Rings about 7 times, and then a number of other books. I do love a good autobiography and business-orientated, that kind of book. I did read one, I'm not the kind of person to even remember like the book well or the title or the author, but there was a great book I read recently about the culture of communities. And it's on the New York bestseller. I'm sure you can find it. I'm just not someone that remembers names that aren't J.R.R. Tolkien. The other great autobiography I really enjoyed in the last 10 years was Bryan Cranston's. It was really entertaining and really great as an autobiography. Really enjoyed that one.
And that's Breaking Bad, Bryan Cranston. Is that correct? Okay, cool.
He talks about a lot about, again, like failing his way to what he's gotten to and a lot of entertaining stories, but also at the heart, just a great player and someone that's fairly humble and talks about the craft. And it's a great book. It's a great read.
I've heard some of his interviews as well, and very much on that line, just show up. You don't know what's going to happen, but showing up and good things will come from that. Okay, now let's imagine many, many, many years from now, you're being taken to let's say an older person's home, you've retired, time to sort of just relax into those latter years of life. You're taken into the dining room, everyone turns around, you're introduced, they say, here's Kurt, how would you like to be introduced?
Yeah, great one. I mean, I'm a bit of a sentimental guy, I guess, and my default thought is back to my daughter. I would just like to have her have gotten to become an adult and a human that is a wonderful person. And honestly, that's not a given. And that's not to say my daughter isn't a wonderful person. It's just that you've got to work hard as a parent, and certainly as a foster parent, to help your kiddo not be in pain. And I think that applies for a lot of parents of biological kids and everyone. There's so much pain that we all have. And if I could be standing there, and people wouldn't have to introduce it, but if I could just know that I got to a place where my daughter was comfortable in herself and was someone that understood failure as being not a bad thing, that's all I'd want.
You're going to make everyone cry.
I know.
So it's well done, man. Like, we're all, what a nice thing.
I'm going to go inside and hug my kids after this.
Yeah.
They're going to go, what's up with Dad?
I feel really bad about yelling at my middle boy today for not mowing the lawns.
I mean, I'll say that, Simon, too. Like, I'm a big yeller, too. I'm always correcting myself of trying to say, look, yelling is not going to help here, but it's my default reaction. So, again, like learning in myself, failing as a parent and trying to figure out how to be a parent is part of all that conversation, too.
You know that's why they're going to put us all in old people's homes. All the kids will be going, off you go, Dad.
Yeah,
Get
I'll
in
figure it
there.
out. Yeah.
All right. Just to wrap us up, what are you up to next? You've got so many things on. Is there something outside the Humble Togs Club which is exciting, or is that your.
Yeah, I'd love to plug the podcast that I haven't published
Yes.
yet. I've recorded 6 episodes of the podcast. It's called the Humble Togs Podcast. Hopefully, by the time you hear that, if you have a Google, maybe it'll be around. But I wanted to, in the photography space, there's a lot of podcasts that just talk about photography. And I wanted to, given the idea of the community that I'm creating, I wanted to interview a member of the club every episode and just talk about their life and their experiences, similar to what we've done today, but celebrate the idea of everyone's story. And also just pull down that curtain for the photographers and for anyone that on Instagram, everyone has their shiny versions of their life all the time, like projecting that. So being able to create a podcast where we talk about humbling stuff, things, failures, all that stuff to kind of break down that feeling of people thinking that, oh, I've got to, work 20 years to achieve something to suddenly be a professional or whatever. Like I said, I'm very happy to say to everyone out loud and all over the place that I fail and stuff all the time and I'm stupid and make mistakes and everything. So I think putting that out there is one thing that I can give the world, hopefully, and maybe get a few listens.
Yeah. Okay. And we'll put links into all the show notes as well. So
appreciate it. I've got to get a link.
all right. Yeah. Okay. When it's ready.
And I presume, Kurt, the usual channels as well. I know you're on LinkedIn. I know you have kurtsneddon.com. Is that right?
Yeah. So my photography website is kurtsneddon.com. All my social media is generally by Kurt Sneddon. So that's BYKURTSNEDDON by Kurt Sneddon. That is the brand name of my photography. In the olden days, my studio was called Blueprint Studios in Australia, but I've shut that down. So you can find me now under by Kurt Sneddon. And then Humble Togs Club is humbletogsclub.com. If you're interested in joining, come and join us. It's $5 a month to be part of that club. So it's a nice couple of dollars in the cookie jar.
And what about things, TikTok, Insta, anywhere else where people can hang out, find you?
TikTok, Insta, Facebook, and LinkedIn are all by Kurt Sneddon.
All right.
That's great.
Fantastic. So if you can't find Kurt, you really need a good hard look at yourself because he is everywhere.
It's a fun thing to do is if you Google my name, you get, because all my metadata goes into all my images, if you Google my name, you just get every image I've ever put up on the internet, which is quite a lot of stuff. I have quite a big digital footprint, but none of them are of me. Like,
Shapeshifter.
Yeah.
You're looking up, like, why is Kurt sounding like there's some blonde woman? Yeah.
He's the Scarlet Pimpernel.
Well, Kurt, we know you've got a hard finish, as John does, very, very soon. So we're going to say, hey, huge thanks. I've been so keen to get a photographer onto the show just to talk around literally the art of seeing what goes on behind the camera, in front of the camera. And look, you are in Australia for a bit at the moment. Would that be correct?
Yeah.
And doing photo shoots in Melbourne and Sydney. And I could not recommend you enough. So jump onto the Kurt Sneddon site. And I think tremendous value for what you give as well. So thanks very much for being on our show.
Do you ever come to the UK, Kurt? If you do, please come and take photos of me and get rid of all these crow's feet, all right?
Yeah, I have. We did one shoot once in when I visit these cities or I go to the UK. I've got some friends on the West End there, so when we do come over, and actually my sister's in the UK too.
Oh, great.
So I do have dreams of being there often, and I'll come and say hello if we do.
Hope to meet.
All right. Well, look, thanks so much, and yeah, we really appreciate your time.
I appreciate you. That's been fun. Thanks, guys.
John, we finally got Kurt on the show. Been absolutely hanging out to have a photographer on. So I just love this idea of they see things that other people miss. And Kurt gave us a really great insight in both to, I guess, the art and craft of photography and simplified it, which I thought was really good.
Yeah.
Simplified it, which was really nice. So what caught a couple of things that caught your eye, a couple of things that caught your eye from the show?
Well, it was the Humble Togs Club community. There was so much in that. A couple of things that caught my eye there is I love the idea that, of course, it's set up with the idea that you don't just go in and give advice, or opinions. You actually are curious and say, what was your intention here? Where were you trying to get to? And then you engage in a conversation. So you lead with curiosity, and that leads to empathy. And again, we've talked about that before. And if you think about teams and organizations and people working together, that's a lovely way to be, is that rather than just go, I don't like that, You go, what were you trying
Yeah.
to do there? What was important to you? What was driving you forward? What options did you see? So leading with curiosity and that sort of building empathy before you sort of jump in with advice, I thought was great.
Little
And this,
leadership nuggets right there, wasn't it? I
Sorry?
thought, yeah.
yeah, absolutely.
Little leadership nugget.
Yeah,
right
no,
there.
it's great.
Yeah.
And then he had that celebrate zone. And I love the idea of just turning up going, I don't want any feedback. I just want you to tell me how great I am. And what I've just done is how brilliant it is. That'll do. Just have a celebration zone. So I think people could do that a bit
And
more
it's
often.
not even celebrating maybe how brilliant it is, but celebrating the fact that I've put this up.
Yes,
if that
I'm
makes
putting
sense.
something out there.
Moving
Yeah,
forward.
that's to be celebrated in itself.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. How about you?
Well, I like, again, just that environment around how it's a safe space. Yeah. Like, and creatively, there is something inside us that freaks out at sharing our stuff. Okay. Because we are worried it doesn't look professional. Like we've got this idea, I was talking about with drawing and art or painting, that type of stuff all the time.
Or
I'm not that good with-
ideas or thoughts or whatever it is, isn't it?
Yeah. But we put ourselves down so much. I think just come and hang out. And I like also he dives into the stories, which I thought was really good. And just that idea of, look, just change perspective. Look up, sit down, look around a little bit more. And again, what would happen if you are practicing your photography? Like, why don't you lie down and see what you see from that angle and different things? So I think you can have a lot of fun. Just go, all right, and most of us will wander along looking at our phones. So just put it away and just go, all right, have a look there. So really simple stuff. And I think that's what it is, John, isn't it? We overcomplicate all of this shit a lot of the time. Like, be curious, give me a 10-point framework. How to roll out my business. Just change perspective, for God's sake, that's all you got to do.
I've just got images of team meetings in some organisations now where it look like a sort of replay of the Dead Poet Society. Everybody be stood on the tables going, what can you see from here? I can see something different. This is amazing.
So, someone's lying on the floor, face
that's
down.
it. Yeah,
Carpet.
Yeah, that's it. Why is Tracy over there staring out the window? Come back here. Failure is necessary for creating. I think, again, that was a real core message that ran through, which, again, we've heard many, many times before. So, again, it was really interesting, again, to pull those themes out from someone doing something very different to other guests we've had. But some of the themes...
But the same theme,
same themes coming through. So that was nice.
Now, couple of things. Let's speak around, you're doing some writing, which I've been very much enjoying. I'm not just saying that to make you feel good. I've been enjoying it. So, we're on Substack.
Yes.
Or John is,
I'm putting myself out there, aren't I, a bit, I suppose, in keeping with the show. So, occupationalphilosophers.substack.com is out there. I mention it, or we do mention it through the LinkedIn when we promo the shows. But if you want to check that out, occupationalphilosophers.substack.com. You can subscribe for free. That's really, you can see some of the things that are in there. We've got sort of short posts for Christy Byrne, Catherine Borowalski and Lee Baker, David Bramwell, Professor Catherine Boydell, which went out quite recently. And it's just further musings on some of the themes that came through our conversations with those brilliantly talented individuals. So I've really enjoyed putting those together. As I say, you can subscribe for free. And they'll come through with each show, but also I'm going to start doing a back catalogue. So I've got a bit of writing to do, but I'm really enjoying getting back into the writing as a creative process. So, hopefully.
So that will be our visions of always having a newsletter. Hey, 4 years it didn't happen, so Substack.
I was too scared to put it out there. I've overcome
I know, John,
my fear.
failure. Yeah. Very good. But look, as always, you can make sure if you've enjoyed the show, tell your friends. Our aim is always to bring you people who've travelled the path, or gone the path a little less travelled, and also think, well, if you're in the world of running a business or even living a more interesting life, what can you get out of that? So that's our aim. If you like the show, hit subscribe in the corner of your phone, and that will make sure you're notified every time it comes out. Tell your pals, occupationalphilosopher.com. And there's a whole bunch more information about John and I and some of the other work we do where we get paid for that. So
we get paid.
Hint. Yeah, we're looking for sponsors. Yeah.
In the meantime, stay curious, make stuff, have fun, play more, and most of all,
when you go out tomorrow, make sure you date life.